Got a look ahead to our upcoming CAA Game of the Week schedule, and it is loaded with good matchups. You won't want to miss what we have coming up for you.
Maybe one of the most well-known coaching staffs in the country on the sidelines tonight here on LSN. Utah's Marcus Holman, Will Manny, I believe that's Adam Gittleman, and Brian Holman's staff. The Utes warming up for Fairfield.
Stags riding high after beating Bryant in overtime Tuesday night. Fairfield at 3-3 on the season.
Yeah, both these teams trying to get over 500. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Lacrosse Now pregame show. That's Brendan Glass-Sheen. I am Tom Eschen. Utah and Fairfield facing off in less than 10 minutes right here on LSN.
Utah with one of the best starts ever for a first-year Division I program. 4-4 record through 8 games, and even pushed the Duke Blue Devils in the first half earlier this week.
Yeah, more on that in a second. Let's just show you where everything started with Utah historically, which ironically sort of started right here on LSN when we broke the news back in 2016. Take a look.
Welcome back into Tilt and Flow. Today, of course, has been a very, very busy day around the LSN Broadcast Center. We, of course, tweeting out that Utah is going to Division I in 2019 or 2020. Breaking that news right here on the show.
Adding a sport today is a very difficult thing. It happens, and there needs to be a lot of steps that went along the way that this committee has done and worked with in terms of interest and community. Also, you don't do a sport today without an endowment that can help get that going. That is the model around the country for adding new sports. And we are so gracious and appreciative of the donations that we received. I know people in the community, because I'll be knocking on your door, will continue to help us more and more on making this program an A+.
Felt it from the day I came out here. The potential for the University of Utah to do something special in the sport of lacrosse is as high as any place in the country right now, and we will do our best, our darn best as a staff and as a program to uphold the standards that Utah has set, and hopefully we'll raise the bar a little bit higher.
Every time Brian Holman speaks, I just feel like I'm learning something. Here's the updated timeline. It was a full year after we broke the story that they officially announced the Division I program for 2019, and this past February playing their first game following the Vermont at home, but just 8 days later beating Mercer to win their first game as a D1 program.
As Tom said, everything started on February 1st of this year against the Catamounts in Rice-Eccles Stadium. The Utes fell 21-6, but Jimmy Perkins scored the first goal in Division I history early in the first quarter. Josh Stout, who you'll see quarterbacking that offense tonight, scored a hat trick in the first Division I game. The game itself, a major milestone and a step forward for the program, but the Utes weren't satisfied with just playing, as a week later, Utah got its first win in Division I history, beating Mercer 13-9. Stout backed up his season-opening hat trick by scoring seven Gs after falling to Hofstra and Denver on the road. They'd rattle off 3 straight wins, beating Air Force, Furman, and Bellarmine.
And then on Tuesday of this week, for a second, we thought we might have the shocker of the century as the Utes scored 5 straight goals to take a first-half lead over the second-ranked Blue Devils, only to see Duke's Joe Robertson get hit in the face on a clear attempt and make it a tie game at 7 heading into the locker room. That was a pretty big momentum shift in that game. Utah would get outscored 7-0 in the third en route to a 17-10 loss, but Brian Holman put it best after the game when he said that his team was not intimidated at all. Well, there's a reason for all that success, as you guys have seen sort of over the course of the beginning of this year.
Yes, we had Joe Keegan, our analyst for tonight's game, who's on the call, breaks down what's made the Utah offense successful.
Everybody's talking about the shot clock, the crease dive, but the rule that's not getting enough attention is the 10-yard box. Utah has taken that 10-yard box and turned it into a weapon for their offense. Whenever they trap an opponent's offensive midfielder on the field, they'll pull him to the side and play 5-on-5 lacrosse. Playing more 5-on-5 has really opened up the dodging lanes. It puts more responsibility on each individual defender, and when the defense tries to help from X, it can lead to hang-ups like this. As the defense tries to flush the hang-up, Jimmy Perkins drives towards the goalie's side and buries. Playing 5-on-5 forces the defense to play with 4 off-ball defenders. When you bring a pick to the ball in those situations, now the defense is playing with 3 and has to slide from a very dangerous position. James Sexton has a ton of time and room to finish. You'll see the cat and mouse game on the replay, up there in the top right corner. Pulling a defender to the side like that allows Utah's playmakers to do what they do best.
Well, let's look ahead to this weekend now. Several ranked matchups across the country, including 2 top 5 matchups. Pretty cool. Third-ranked Cornell coming off a win over top-ranked Towson 18-11 last weekend. A game where Clark Pedersen scored 8 goals in the first half, taking on a team this week in 4th-ranked Yale they beat in the Ivy League championship game just last season.
The defending champs beating Michigan 17-11 last Sunday in Atlanta. College Lacrosse Classic, the site. The Bulldogs now at 3-1. The rich just getting richer as transfer TD Ireland's been stellar since arriving on campus. He leads the country in winning percentage at 76% of his faceoffs, that is. Here is what Barstool Jordy handicapped from this one with Mr. Eschen.
So last weekend, pretty up and down weekend for Cornell. They were kind of on the receiving end and the giving end of some bullying. So they got beat down pretty well by Penn State, but then they come back and they take down then number 1 Towson. So, both of those games, like neither of them were necessarily close. I think that changes this week. So I still haven't decided, like in my heart, who I think comes out of this game on top. But I do think that it'll be closer than that. I think it'll come down to 1 goal here. So I got Cornell +2.
You can check out more from Jordy and more coverage of everything lacrosse after the game right here on Lacrosse Now. I had a good conversation with him. We broke down some games. We handicapped some things. He's got his picks. Some interesting ones in there as well. Not just some of the big matchups, but some of the other ones too with some of the ranked teams in the country.
Jordy's got his foot in the water when it comes to the college lacrosse landscape. Always good to have his insight.
Yeah, the Crease Side podcast. He's always talking to somebody.
Oh, look at the plug, Tom.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
No, thank you. We try. Well, moving on, the Albany Great Danes men's team 1-4 this year. Last weekend, they fell to 7th-ranked Maryland 14-9. But once again, Deoga Nanticoke, the story.
Yeah, not for his play on the field either. The sophomore star was dressed but did not play. UAlbany head coach Scott Marr told reporters that the reason wasn't for public knowledge.
Yeah, it's been a tumultuous few weeks for both Deoga and the Great Danes. Nanticoke benched for about a quarter and a half in their win over Drexel a few weeks ago. Then he didn't travel to Cornell. The school sat him after he tagged a stringing company in an Instagram post. A controversy that blew up after Scott Marr told everybody the NCAA suspended Deoga indefinitely, only for the NCAA to come back and say Deoga was reinstated. They never suspended him. With all that said, the latest today, Scott Marr telling the reporters there in Albany that Deoga will play against UMass Lowell on Saturday. So maybe we'll finally get some normalcy in Albany and they can get things going.
All right, plenty of action in the women's landscape. The women's game, which we'll have over the next couple of days. Defending national champion James Madison takes on Temple right here on LSN on Saturday as well. That's a 1 p.m. Eastern start on LSN 2. It's free on LaxSportsNetwork.com and, of course, on the LSN app.
So real quick before we go, just talking about this game, Fairfield, Utah. Should be interesting with these two teams. First time they played each other, right?
Yeah, Andy Copeland did this Utah program a favor, scheduling this game to kind of fill out the non-conference conference slate for the Utes. Interested, you got a real high-powered offense here in Utah and a Fairfield team that's still trying to find itself, find its identity with Dylan Beckwith on offense. I think we're going to get a good one.
I think we should get a little Friday Night Lights action. Only a couple games on the slate tonight. So right here, guys, we got it all for you. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back here with updates throughout the broadcast. And, of course, Lacrosse Now right here as soon as that clock hits 0. Let's head out to Fairfield right now with Travis and Joe on the call.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship.
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Lax Sports Network is proud to present the CAA Game of the Week. Tonight, some Friday Night Lax from Rafferty Stadium in Fairfield, Connecticut. The first year Utah Utes traveling east to take on the Fairfield Stags. What's going on, everybody? Alongside Joe Keegan from Moneyball Lacrosse, I'm Travis Eldridge. Finally, some lacrosse weather here in Fairfield. A nicer afternoon, though we're expecting some rain showers later on. But, Joe, this is interesting because for Fairfield, they're continuing to get ready for CAA play. For Utah, coming off a loss to Duke where they were competitive, part of a spring break trip for the Utes.
Yes, an ambitious spring break trip at that. They're going to Will Manny's alma mater on Sunday, and they've scheduled the top talent. They're not backing down from anyone in their first season.
And if you haven't seen this Utah team play yet, you're going to want to see them tonight. A very exciting team, very fun to watch. One of the reasons they're so fun to watch is number one on that attack unit, Josh Stout.
Yeah, Josh Stout is the guy who can create. A lot of these Utah players have their way with short sticks in their invert sets. Josh Stout is the guy they lean on. He can win his matchup no matter who's guarding him. Short stick or pull, he can create off the dodge and generate those opportunities for other Utes.
On the other side, Taylor Stroud, the sophomore for Fairfield, coming off a 6-goal performance against Bryant on Tuesday.
Stroud can shoot. Bryant played zone as they traditionally do. He stretched that zone and came up with clutch goals time and time again against Bryant.
And those clutch goals that Stroud came up with, good for the game winner and game tying goal down the stretch there against Bryant. Taking a look at our starting goalies tonight, the freshman in cage for the Stags, James Corsiniti, getting the start once again. He started all but the first game for this Fairfield team. On the other end, a sophomore from Yorktown, New York, Liam Donnelly, getting a chance to come a little closer to home as he gets his start once again in cage for Utah. Goals against average a little under 12, but he has been a stud for this Utah team so far this year. At the face-off X, this will be one of those spots that'll be interesting to watch for Utah. They are not good at the face-off X. They know that, and they have accepted that, Joe. Seth Nealman, the long stick goes out there, and really what you'll see throughout the night as they go up against Frankie Lebetti for Fairfield is they're just going to try to make it a 50-50 scrum and force Fairfield back into their own end.
Yeah, Nealman's a great takeaway guy. They're going to defer that face-off, put the pole out there, and then really make the guy who wins the face-off run around, try to escape Nealman, and lock off everyone else.
And there is Lebetti. Couldn't get rid of it to anybody. Gets a shot off. It's backed up, and Fairfield will get possession, still with plenty of time on the shot clock.
Mindset there is you face off enough over the course of the night, make the Fairfield Fogos run around like that, you'll tire them out, and eventually those face-offs will start to tilt your way.
Taking a look at this offensive unit for Fairfield, here's Taylor Stroud coming off that 6-goal performance on Tuesday, and he's got the first tonight.
We knew he could do it with his feet set. That's what he did against the zone that Bryant threw at Fairfield on Tuesday. Here's Stroud dodging down the alley. That's perfect placement. When you're teaching midfielders to drive down the alley, you shoot low and away. Toughest place for the goalie to get to. Look at this location. Drills the corner.
Taylor Stroud entered this game with 3 straight multi-point games, well on his way with the early goal to put Fairfield up 1-0. That was a career-high 6 goals he had against Bryant. Also had an assist for a 7-point afternoon, and we mentioned game-tying and game-winning goals for him. Got a whistle off the ensuing face-off. A loose ball push will give it right back to the Stags. In talking to Utah coach Brian Holman about the face-off, he said, look, we had some options, maybe some guys we could have brought into the program to figure things out. We have guys coming in next year, 2 more after that in 2 years, so we're comfortable with it moving forward. And you know what? We just decided we're going to figure it out this year, and that's what they've tried to do is they get a save here from Donnelly.
Yeah, they've made up for it in enough areas. They're hustling all over the field, winning 50-50 battles. They might not win those face-offs, but they're creating possessions off end-line runouts, ground balls, assisted ground balls, all those other situations.
So our first look at this Utah offense. It is led by number 1, the guy we talked in the open about, Josh Stout. You see him there in black with the red numbers.
Yeah, Utah's still got a pole on the side. They're going to pick with the pole here, try to get an offensive midfielder. That's Stroud.
Diving in off the pipe, it's Perkins. But a loose ball is won by Utah, and James Sexton keeps it alive for the Utes.
Yep, Stroud's running off the field now. You see Utah kept him on for that shot, trying to exploit that mismatch.
On the doorstep, Perkins couldn't get a shot off, and it's a ground ball won by Fairfield, turned over, but it's right into the back of the net for Corsiniti.
Utah loves those substitution games. They'll play 5-on-5 for as long as possible. It creates so much space for them to dodge. You saw the pole pick there right along goal line extended. Really tough area for the on-ball defender to get through without any help from the pickers, man.
And that is another place where Utah has been able to get some possessions is in their ride. You'll see a 10-man at times tonight, and they went for the long pass there as Jake Timon couldn't connect.
They're a reflection of their coaches, aren't they?
It's true, yeah. You put Will Manny and Marcus Holman, a bunch of guys that are known for their ability to ride on this coaching staff, and it just kind of rubs off on this team.
Yeah, wouldn't expect anything else.
This one brought in by Dylan Beckwith. Feeds back out on top, and they lost the ball, but kept alive here for Fairfield, and they'll settle in. This is Patrick Drake, the freshman from Wilmington, Delaware. Tied for third on the team with 14 points so far this season. This is part of this second midfield unit for the Stags. Cole Barnard, along with Jack Brennan and Brian Crawley. Beckwith, full head of steam, saved by Donnelly.
Yeah, Fairfield looking to initiate out of the midfield there. They've gotten some good sweeps so far. Those are so tough for a goalie to track when you're moving left to right and you can bring him off the pole like that.
A couple of early saves for Donnelly as Utah brings it into the offensive end.
Those 2 saves, too, have been good shot locations. Donnelly's just getting there. There's a substitution game. They had a step, but they just didn't have the right spacing to feed him.
This is Cam Redmond, one of the few seniors on this team. He played 50 games for the Utah Club Lacrosse program when they were in the MCLA, and now one of the handful of guys that have moved up, and it was a handful of veteran guys who had been at Utah for a while and have moved up to the Division I program.
Feels like such a big key to their success.
Stout gets his first shot, but it's saved.
To carry over that culture that they created at the club level with some of these guys who have that experience with this coaching staff.
Here's Kendall Cahey in transition. Another stop by Donnelly.
Again, low and away. Donnelly getting there.
And a transition the other way. Stout on the doorstep, and they cash in. Utah answers right back, and we're tied up at 1.
That's a huge save in transition by Donnelly. Those are the toughest times to make saves in those odd man situations. On the same side, anytime you can make them and then get a clean outlet, you're likely to counter that fast break with one of your own. That's exactly what Utah does here. They love to run. They play with their heads up. The nice one more pass and the dip and dunk on the doorstep.
Sorry, that wasn't Stout. That was Jimmy Perkins with the assist. He finds Aaron Feldstead on the doorstep, able to create some numbers back the other way and take advantage of that great save and outlet.
Nice finish by Feldstead on the doorstep, moving the goalie, throwing that one fake to open up some space.
And Donnie Stock went early, gives the possession back to Fairfield here on the faceoff violation. We didn't talk about him in the open because he was kind of overshadowed by Taylor Stroud's big performance on Tuesday, but Dylan Beckwith is one of the guys that you need to keep your eye on for this Fairfield team. Entering the game, leading this team in points, 12 goals, 17 assists for 29 points on the season. He's number 22 in white. Keep your eye on him. Here's Travis Ford, whose shot sails wide.
Yeah, I think Beckwith might be their best feeder. Where Stroud really had success against Bryant was as a step-down shooter. You look at Beckwith as one of those guys who can dodge, draw a slide, and create for others.
From the top of the box, it's Brendan Quinn on the run. Gets his step. Bounce shot well high.
Good help defense by Utah there. It's tough to dodge when your teammate is outside the play like that, and they can just crash down adjacent.
This is Drake bodying up his man. Skips it back over to Beckwith. Tough angle.
Yeah, really tough. They've been initiating with the midfield. The one downside of that is that your stick's going to be to the outside a lot of times when you're shooting like that. Every step you take, too, cuts down your angle. They haven't really been looking to get anything going from X yet.
Still 14 seconds left on the shot clock for Fairfield.
Here's the pick. Good help by the Pickers defender.
Beckwith splits two. Donnelly another stop. Already 4 saves on the night for Donnelly.
Yeah, you like to see Utah trusting their short stick to step up and deter Beckwith from taking that free sweep off that pick. Somehow Beckwith was able to get away, but another good save by Donnelly.
It's James Sexton, the transfer from Onondaga Community College, a 2-time All-American in his 2 years at OCC. Certainly playing at OCC, he's comfortable playing around some of the best players you see in the college game. Great pipeline coming from Onondaga Community College to all sorts of Division I programs.
Yeah, absolutely. It used to be back in the day, those guys would go straight to Syracuse, but you're seeing them travel up, going to all these programs now.
Much to the chagrin of John Desco. Some other people figured out about the secret.
Yep.
Pass in front, a turn and score. There is Sexton, his first of the night, 10th of the season.
That's such an underratedly tough finish. Anytime you can catch from a dodge up at the top of the box, turn, find the cage, and release it before the help defense gets there and collapses on the crease. High level of difficulty shot by Sexton here. Great dodge by Cantlin, dodging with his eyes up, looking to feed the crease. This Utah team, they play so unselfish. They'll go to a lot of sets where they look like they're playing one-on-one, where they're inverting short sticks and trying to exploit those matchups. But really, at the end of the day, what they want to do out of those isolations is create an advantage for their teammates off ball.
You're not familiar with this Utah program because they're a first-year team. You should know about them now. They entered this game at 4-4 on the season, which is remarkable for a first-year program in Division I lacrosse. All those wins against Division I competition, and they're coming off a game against Duke where they were up by 1 late in the first half. If not for a deflection late in that first half that caused a late goal right around the buzzer for Duke, Utah would have been leading at halftime against the second-ranked Blue Devils.
Yeah, they've played such an ambitious schedule between Duke, Vermont, Denver, Air Force, Hofstra, all these teams that we've seen in the tournament in the last few years, and they're just not backing down from anyone.
Looking to clear, turned over, and given right back to Fairfield. But once again, clearing can be an adventure sometimes against this Utah ride.
They're going to make you earn it.
And the offense will settle in here for the Stags. It's an offense that at times has been good and at times has been up and down with some new pieces finding its way into the mix. Patrick Drake, the freshman, and Brian Rita, another freshman, getting the start here at the attack unit. And a sophomore here, and Brian Crawley striking through. Drake with the shot on the doorstep, can't get it to go. The backup goes to the Utes. There it is. You were showing me just before we came on the dive out against Bellarmine, their last win coming up over the weekend, and it helped seal a victory.
Yeah, that was the final play of the game. Few seconds left on the clock. 2 Utah Utes diving for the run out on their win over Bellarmine. And then you see it there. They're just going to hustle to the end line. Like we said, they might not win the faceoffs, but they make up for those by creating possessions in so many other areas of the game, mainly those end line runouts. Anytime you can get that as a defense, that's essentially a turnover.
This is Cam Redmond
hang up here. Perkins has been good in these situations. Let's see. I love that pick.
Looks to split two. He's held up. And the whistle goes against Perkins. Gives it back to Fairfield.
I think they called a moving pick.
Oh, yes.
We're seeing that more and more. I don't know who started it, if it started with Penn State, but a lot of programs are picking right on GLE for that hang-up. The hang-up situation when your defender is above goal line extended and you're standing there at X, kind of baiting them, waiting for them to make a move. A lot of teams will try to flush it. They'll put their goalie to one side, the defender to the other. Those hang-up situations, when you can bring a picker to that, really allow the ball carrier to get a shot off. There, Fairfield really jumped it. I like the aggressive pick play we've seen by both defenses so far.
Travis Ford aggressive with the shot, but saved once again by Donnelly. And here come the Utes in transition. This is Samuel Cambert. And talking with Brian Holman and his Utah staff, the thoughts on Cambert was he does not play like a freshman. Certainly confident in his first year in Division I lacrosse.
A lot of freshmen on this team that do not play like freshmen. That's what you need if you're going to be 4-4 as a first-year team.
They've been asked to grow up quickly, and so far they have. Quick ball movement.
Yeah, again, little bit of a numbers situation. What you just saw there kind of looked like an extra man opportunity just for a split second. You know, not like a 30-second 6-on-5, but they had a quick advantage that they gained via the sub game.
Brandon Wilson looks to dodge.
I like his game. He's a quick dodger. They get him at X a lot against short sticks. He dodges for his own shot and for others.
That was initially batted down, but they keep moving it for Utah. Wilson, save. Putback is good. Jimmy Perkins with his first of the night.
Cleaning up the garbage. They win those 50-50s. That's such a key area of the game after a shot like that, to win your own rebounds or as an offense to steal those from the defense.
Perkins, the Robert Morris transfer, gives Utah an early 3-1 lead. You take a look at the timeline to get Utah to where we are today. It all started back in 2016. Coach Brian Holman, coming off winning the national championship with North Carolina as an assistant, takes the head coaching job then of an MCLA program in Utah. That, of course, led to a little less than a year later, the school announcing Division I men's lacrosse would be added during the 2018 school year, entering this 2019 spring. Moving forward, the program officially joined the athletic department in this past July. That was also when NCAA rules began to affect this Utah program. And in their first game coming against Vermont, February 1st, actually the first game of the entire college lacrosse season this year, that was a 21-6 loss against the Catamounts at home. But just about a week later, just 8 days later, win number 1 in Utah Division I lacrosse history. They beat Mercer 13-9 at home, and they checked that one off, and then checked off their first ever 3-game winning streak not too long ago, beating Air Force, Furman, and Bellarmine in back-to-back-to-back games, able to get to 4 wins so far in the season. As we take another look at Perkins' work on the doorstep.
Yeah, huge goal for the Utes. They get those 50-50 balls off the rebounds, off the runouts. Let's see if they can start putting together some face-off wins here, or at least some turnovers, create some turnovers right after a face-off loss.
Once again, Seth Nealman, the long stick, close defenseman, going out to the face-off X, looking to make this a 50-50 ground ball and just make it difficult for Fairfield. And there you go, Utah able to win it.
All you got to do is give the Wings a chance. Once you make it a 3-on-3 party, it's the odds tilt a little more towards your favor than 1-on-1.
And Seth Nealman, number 5 in black for Utah, a guy that just about never leaves the field. If he's not facing off, he's usually on the face-off wings. And if he's not there, he's down at close defense. So he's a guy you got to know on this Utah team, as that one kicked away.
Yeah, and if he's not playing close defense, he's up running on the break and maybe even playing a little hangman to let the Utah offense have some more space.
And another turnover in this difficult ride for Utah.
Yes, it's still early, but second ride back so far on really only a few clear opportunities for Fairfield.
And this is the end of the field for Fairfield that has been struck with a little bit of the injury bug as of late. They had up to 3 different guys out at different points of the last couple of weeks. As that's going to be a crease violation on
tough
Utah.
feed inside. We're seeing a little bit of zone from Fairfield here. It's an ambitious feed.
We see Jake Timon back in there. He's a guy that's dealt with some injuries for Fairfield. Andrew Murrow and Sean Sweeney both have missed time as well. So an end of the field that Coach Copeland said is very green for the Stags, just trying to figure out some different pieces to be able to plug and play. Stags able to get an offensive possession here. This is Patrick Drake, the freshman, gets it back over to the midfielder, Travis Ford.
There's
Now
the pick for
back
the sweep
with
again.
to Stroud. Oh, he had a corner. Great run out once again by the Utes.
Another dive out. That was a good pick for the sweep by Fairfield. We saw earlier the Utah Pickers, the defender jumped that, denied the sweep. Beckwith somehow got out of it. There, they were able to draw a slide and feed Stroud for that step-down shot. That's a good opportunity. Shot you want if you're Fairfield. Stroud has been burying those.
Yeah, buried the first one tonight, but not able to get that one to go, and it stays 3-1.
Yeah, as an offense, in theory, you just shouldn't lose those runouts. You should be wider than the defense, especially behind the cage.
Here comes Utah down the alley. Back out top to Wilson. And notice, Josh Stout is way up toward the top of the box. He was almost at midfield.
Invert here. Yeah. I think he's one of their favorite step-down shooters. They really have their shooters high. Looks like they have a mirror here on the inside. Fairfield's getting a slide ready to go. They're going to hold for the last shot here, or as close as they can get it with that 5-second difference.
Wilson working against the short stick and Cahey. Gets it to Perkins. Dive, he can't put it home.
That was almost a homage to his coach, Marcus Holman, the crease dive logo.
I believe Will Manny also cashed in on one like that in the All-Star game last year. Long pass to the other end. Beckwith couldn't put it home. And so after 15 minutes, how about the Utes coming out firing in Fairfield, Connecticut? Utah with an early 3-1 lead over the Stags. Jake Cantlin and James Sexton connecting. Utah up 2 on our CAA Game of the Week.
Hey everybody, first quarter in Fairfield in the books. As you saw, the Utes lead the Stags 3-1. But let's take a look now to this weekend's action featuring another top 5 battle in the men's game. An Ivy League top 5 battle at that. Number 3, Cornell visiting New Haven to take on 4th-ranked Yale. Back in 2018, Cornell beating the Bulldogs 14-8 in that Ivy League title game. Of course, Yale would then make the run to the national title after that. Yale just lost to Villanova this season. The Big Red falling to Penn State and Charlotte last weekend. Here's analyst Davey Emla on what he'll be watching in this one.
I think this is going to be an absolute battle. I think it's going to be back and forth. The first area of the field for me that comes to mind is the face-off X, just because of Yale and having TD Ireland and what he does there. You talk about, Andy Shea, you see his quotes about TD and what he brings to their team and how he allows them to play. And then on the flip side, you have Cornell, and the face-off has been an area of struggle for them.
Should be interesting for sure. That game, 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News. Another top 5 matchup between Towson and Duke. Towson falling to Cornell and Charlotte over the weekend. Duke beating Utah earlier this week. Syracuse and Rutgers, top 15 battle, 1 p.m. Carrier Dome. Notre Dame, Virginia should be a good one as well. 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Make sure to tune in here to LSN, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday morning. And every Saturday, we'll preview the day of action in the lacrosse world with highlights, analysis, interviews on the biggest matchups for the men and the women on LSN College Central, right here for free on LSN and the LSN app.
Welcome back to our CAA Game of the Week. Get ready for the second quarter as Utah has a 3-1 lead over Fairfield. Travis Eldridge and Joe Keegan back with you here on LSN. What a start to this one by Liam Donnelly, the goalie for the Utes. 5 saves early on to shut down this Fairfield offense.
Yeah, the Yorktown product. You see the Y taped to his chin guard there. Shout out Paul Carcaterra, the hotbed of Yorktown. And I think the area where he's really been impressive is starting transition. When you play goalie for Adam Gittleman's defense, Gittleman liked to do it with his legs and run out of the cage. Donnelly's been making saves, having his head up, and finding the right outlet to start the break.
And we saw him directly influence at least 1 goal so far for Utah as Nealman wins the faceoff for the Utes.
Yeah, that's a couple wins in a row here for Utah.
And just unorthodox for any faceoff guy having to go against this Utes program with the way in which they've tried to deal with their lack of a true faceoff athlete.
Yeah, that first faceoff win for Fairfield, we saw him maybe cover 80 yards just running around trying to escape Nealman. Here comes the razor pick. Yeah, they don't use it behind X. They try to get topside immediately. I like that look. We haven't really seen that from a lot of teams, but that razor pick, what it does is really trips you up on the back of the cage where you got to fight under the pick and over the net.
Aaron Feldstedt will give it a run for the top. Instead, gets it over to Stout. Still 30 seconds to work on this shot clock for Utah.
Short stick matchup here.
Now on Sexton, the attackman swims, stopped. Big
nice
save there
move
from Fairfield for Corsiniti.
Yeah, good change of direction at X there. You'd like to see him take maybe 1 more step and improve his angle. Like you said, great save by Corsiniti.
Already 4 saves for him as well, so both goalies with a solid start to this one.
For sure.
And with the shot clock, and he was talking with Loyola coach Charlie Toomey earlier this year, and a former goalie himself. And with the shot clock, so much is not only on just being able to make the stop, but actually making the save and catching the ball if you're a goalie. Because first off, you limit the rebounds and a new 80-second shot clock. And secondly, you can get that ball up and out, not have to worry about that 20-second clearing clock to get it over midfield.
Yeah, the 20 seconds has been a challenge for teams through February. I think teams are getting used to it, but again, obviously 20 to the midline is a lot more difficult, it seems, than 30 to the box.
Beckwith, we had one of our refs
great
take a
move by the
tumble.
ref.
However you need to get out of the way, that is what you do.
Hey, maybe the only person crazier than the goalie standing there with the pads is the ref.
Some of our referees.
Yeah.
Dodging off the pipe for Fairfield.
I love that shot off the underneath move. Really brings his stick back to the middle and increases his angle. Puts it in his right hand, improves his angle, brings it up high. Really unpredictable angle for a goalie. Almost simulates what you'd see from a long stick shooting.
By the way, shout out to our referee crew tonight, Anthony Peranti, Peter Weaver, and Christopher Schmidt.
An agile crew.
That was one of the better moves I've seen. So you've got a
over and back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just barely. Looked like shot clock was at 56, 55. Can't go back after it hits 60.
The turnover gives it back to this Stags offense, who's been stagnant since scoring less than a minute in. Gotten good shots, just haven't been able to find their way past Liam Conley in cage.
Let's see if they go back to that pick game for the sweeps.
This is Stroud, and he's has it taken away.
Yeah, tied up by Belcher. Looked like it was Belcher who got the lift in on that trail check after getting beat initially. But again, we say beat relatively. He's forcing him to the outside. Utah's denying the middle of the field where those best shots come from. Anytime Fairfield's Dodgers are driving down the alley, although that was how they scored their goal, Utah's going to be okay with that. Here comes the invert. Look for Perkins to maybe pick or mirror here.
Cantlin sends it back to Perkins. He's got his man caught up again.
Let's see how they play it. Do they pick for him at goal line extended? Does he go for the dive?
Still plenty of time for Perkins to operate.
Right. These are interesting with the shot clock. It used to be you get a hang up, the defense is going to look to flush. Now with the shot clock, ooh.
Sexton couldn't handle in front. Good defense from Fairfield, and they create the turnover.
The pick and the slip, but the collapse by the Fairfield defense arrived on time. I like that look. But like we were saying, the hang up with the shot clock puts the pressure on the offense, whereas in the past it used to be
could hang out there all night.
Yeah, defenses move. You know, now you're playing chess with the hang up. Okay, offense, your turn. You have to do something with it.
It's Travis Ford, the junior from Webster Thomas, New York. His brother Trevor also on the team. And as a Travis, who's been called Trevor plenty of times in my life, I can only imagine what Trevor and Travis in the same household must be like. Here's Dylan Beckwith down the alley, gets his hands free, and he just missed. You can see he wanted that one back.
Yeah, again, those alley shots, they're not the best, but they're really all Fairfield's getting off these midfield dodges. Utah's short sticks are making it really difficult for guys to catch the ball. They're denying guys, pressing them out really wide, which is just chewing up time. Good collapse by the adjacent defender.
And Drake has it taken away.
Yeah, Utah's help defense has been so great today. Their adjacent defenders are just crashing down any opportunity they have to get one of those free, cheap doubles where their man is not a threat, so they can just leave, you know, throw a check, and then they can get back on their man if need be. But what we've seen is they're putting the ball on the ground with those checks, and it's just creating stops for Utah.
Number 21 for Fairfield, Brian Cosgrove, getting the assignment of working against Josh Stout. For Fairfield, Cosgrove actually normally a long stick midfielder on the Stags team, but with some of the injuries and pieces missing for Fairfield so far on the defensive end, moved down to close defense. And drawing a tough assignment tonight against Josh Stout.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stout again working. Under 20 seconds on that shot clock. Here we go.
Nope. They're just going to let him go. Let's see if he can create.
Out to Sexton, now under 10. They got to hurry. And he just sends it to the corner as Wilson saw nothing there.
Good defense by Fairfield there. Anytime you can get a shot clock violation after 80 seconds, that means you were doing something right for over a minute of defense. I really liked the short stick defense on the backside after they moved it a few passes away from Stout's dodge, and they were able to deny that, sort of re-dodge. It's really tough in those situations when you're sinking into the backside, from the backside. Then your man catches the ball. You have to approach him and deny that dodge.
See if Taylor Stroud can get something going once again. The only goal tonight for Fairfield came right in the first minute of this game. Instead, Beckwith spinning, another save from Donnelly. He has been the star for Utah so far tonight.
Yeah, who else with the rebound but Nailman? Covering Stroud, taking faceoffs, gets the rebound there. This kid's everywhere.
Nealman entered the game with an assist, 29 ground balls, 11 caused turnovers, and also taking more than 100 faceoffs this season. He's checking every statistical category.
Yeah, he's got to make Ryan Conwell's Stat Freaks column on Lax All-Stars. If that doesn't, then I don't know what. It's Zach Courier numbers.
Yeah, it's exactly like it's Zach Courier with a long pole. As Fairfield is able to cause a turnover here. Adam Reestis and company looking to clear, and they do. Travis Ford, a guy who can fill it up, had a career-high 5 goals in the win over Siena earlier this season.
Fairfield looking to invert here. Taking the short stick matchup to X.
This is Quinn. Just can't find an angle, instead sends it behind. Back out to Stroud. And you know, after Utah saw Stroud put home 6, they're not going to let him get many shots free.
Yeah, the second he caught it, Belcher was right in his gloves.
There he is. Taylor Stroud is second of the night. Fairfield back within 1.
They go right back to a similar action. Belcher was right there the first time, just a step late the second time. It's really tough to ask. Like we saw, the Fairfield defense on the other side, the backside defenders sinking in. Now all of a sudden he has to extend to hands. I'd like to see them create more step-down shots for Stroud. They got a lot against the zone. It's tougher man-to-man. If you want a step-down shot, you have to win your matchup, like Fairfield does here. They win a matchup, draw a slide. Now the defense is moving. Now you can find a guy like Stroud and give him time and room.
Give the freshman Patrick Drake the assist. And Stroud already 2 goals tonight after the 6 goals on Tuesday. He's making a case for CAA Player of the Week.
Really should have been 2 assists on that goal. That's one of those that deserved a hockey assist.
I know you're a big fan of the hockey assist, as Frankie Labetti is able to win the clamp. Now, once again, Nealman making it difficult, and it's kicked out of bounds by Fairfield, and it'll give it to Utah.
Those exits are so key as a face-off guy. Planning those, varying your exits off the face-off win. You can't go to the same direction every single time, or else a guy, especially when you're going against a pole like Nealman, who's just waiting to see his wings too, know where you've gone. They're anticipating what direction you're headed in.
And so Utah is able to take a timeout as they got possession. We'll step aside here on LSN. Under 6 minutes to go in the first half. The Utes with a 1-goal lead here on LSN.
Hey everybody, Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. A timeout, so it's time now for our Player of the Year watch. This week it's Cornell's Clark Pedersen, taken 12th by the Boston Cannons in the MLL draft on Saturday night, then put on an absolute show 12 hours later against top-ranked Towson. He scored a career-high 8 goals in the first half on 9 shots, leading the Big Red to an 18-11 victory over the previously unbeaten Tigers. He's the 10th player in Cornell history to score at least 8 goals in a game. First time a Big Red player has done that since 2006. Pedersen scored 2 goals in their loss to Penn State just 2 days earlier as well. The senior out of the Hill Academy now has 19 goals and 5 assists in 5 games this season. Obviously already on pace to surpass his 2018 total of 44 goals, which was a career high. He'll be needed to step up once again on Saturday when his Big Red travel to Yale. So Clark Pedersen, this week's subject of our Player of the Year watch. Tune in each week to see who could be in the running as the best player in lacrosse when it's all said and done.
Back in Fairfield, Connecticut, Travis Eldridge and Joe Keegan as the Utah Utes first-year program with a 1-goal lead over Fairfield so far in our CAA Game of the Week. Utes taking a timeout, preserving a possession and a chance to continue to try to add to this lead. What has impressed you so much when you look at Utah as a first-year program here, Joe, and how they've been able to seem to be so confident so far in their Division I slate?
I think it might be just that, the confidence, the number of guys who they allow to initiate. A lot of these teams, even a lot of the more established teams, have defined roles, and they're leaning heavily on their 1-star player. I think Utah asks a lot of guys to initiate, and a lot of guys, take advantage of that moment.
Looking to take advantage of this opportunity on this end of the field.
there's so many different styles of Dodgers, too. Like, Stout is really good at setting his guy up into the pick. Wilson is so shifty.
This is Stout.
Good rollback.
Shot sails wide. Still 23 seconds left to operate as James Sexton backs it up. Sexton quickly off the end line.
Good lift.
Yeah, lifted his stick. Battle in the corner, but another Ute and Wilson able to come and help. So Stout with 10. Spins back. Stout save again by Corsiniti.
Fresh 80. That is huge. That, whether that was a save or off the pipe, that just shot out of there. Really no chance for Fairfield to get that rebound right to the Utah offense.
And all that does is you just have, as a defense, have to buckle down again after you just played 80 seconds of difficult defense.
Yeah, and it could have ended after 70 there. One defender run into the corner. Utah played that 2-on-1 ground ball perfectly. This team loves assisted ground balls, so they'll hockey it to another player. If they can't get it, they'll keep it on the ground until one of their teammates can.
Redmond Dodgers at the top. Now to Cantlin. Stout spins. His helmet got taken off, and that will be an immediate flag. Josh Stout was saying, hey, let's keep going. Yeah. I don't need a helmet.
Looking like Jason Witten.
And we get our first flag of the night. One minute slash on George Elmquist for Fairfield. Our first look at this Utes man-up unit.
Yeah, that's got him clean on the chin.
Right up off the side. Utah's a man-up unit, only at about 33%, 9 for 27 on the season.
Yeah, curious to see what they do here. They had a nice man-up goal against Duke. Starting with a couple guys inside, then they'll pick for those guys, try to pop them as shooters.
A man-down unit for Fairfield has been not as good, only 53%. And yeah, they're playing 5-on-4 right now for Utah. And it's score! In front, it's Perkins with his second of the night.
Shut off by Fairfield, taking Stout out of the man-up offense creates space. They played, like you said, 5-on-4. Advantage tilts towards the offense. Yes, their top scorer is not part of the extra man, but like we said, lots of Utah guys who are confident creating, confident with the ball in their stick. This is really a team offense. It's an unselfish offense. Perkins here going to pick, sees the open space in the middle, just cuts there. He was waving that pick on. They were looking to set up a seal for a step-down shot. They get an even better shot just by slipping Perkins right into the middle of the field.
And another face-off win for Utah. It ends up in a Fairfield stick. A loose ball, and it goes in! Wow. Utah able to deflect it in. I believe it might have been Samuel Cambert who got it just enough of a piece.
That is a hockey goal if I've ever seen one. See him with the celebration there, ready to take a hockey face-off. The second that Fairfield dropped that down in the crease, we got to see this replay. Oh,
there he is.
He's just laying out there, and he just swiped it in. That was a backhand.
Already Cambert's third goal of the season. The long pull, as we told you, not playing like a freshman, according to head coach Brian Holman, a guy who can go both ways. And I don't know how much hockey he played in Flower Mound, Texas, but showing off some ability there. Maybe some street hockey.
Street hockey, yeah. Savvy move. You got to imagine that's a huge part of their practice routine, whether it's those assisted ground balls or just batting the ball while it's on the ground, playing it to space so that it's easier for you to pick that up. We saw Utah 2 pulls on that faceoff have a little bit of trouble to secure the possession. It's tough in traffic to pick the ball up with the stick, with the long stick.
So back-to-back goals has Utah up by 3, their largest lead of the night, and Fairfield in need of an answer.
Yeah, Fairfield loves this location on their invert, so to speak. They're taking them really to the low wing rather than to X behind.
This is Stroud. He's got the 2 goals for Fairfield tonight. Sends it over to Ford, and another stop by Donnelly. It's poked free, though.
50-50 ball.
And guess who has it? Utah. Barreling through, save at the other end. And a flag down as we have a crease call as well. I believe that was Nick Hapney going end to end.
That was a ridiculous effort by Hapney.
Just bouncing around.
Yeah,
he was not going to be denied.
No, he has a goal in the season. You'd think he has none, and he's hunted for his first. He was determined on that.
Well, he saw his buddy Cambert, both freshmen, that he got a goal. And so Hapney said, you know what? I want one too.
Yeah.
As the call is offsides on Fairfield. Goes against Dylan Beckwith. And so another extra man opportunity for Utah. 1-for-1 on the night. This one just of the 32nd variety.
Yeah, expect them to shut off Stout again. That's what they're doing with the short stick up at the top.
Adam Reistis draws that assignment. And they get it to Stout, but he just moves it along.
It's tough. They're shutting him off, not so much to deny him the ball, but even if he catches the ball out there and he's playing one-on-one, you might as well give it up to your teammates and let them play, or start him in the middle.
Skip pass out top, save.
There's a ball on
Corsiniti.
the extra man.
The old Scott Ratliff. And
You don't see that often.
No, you do not. Corsiniti really needed that save here for Fairfield. And they have a chance to kill off the rest of this extra man. They do. We're back to even strength, but a turnover once again. Good save by Feldstad to save it to himself and keep possession. Coming up at the half, we will send you inside the LSN Broadcast Center, get you all caught up on some first half highlights. Also get some reaction from Chris Marshall. And now Chris was all over this story from the very beginning with Utah, so it'd be fun to hear his thoughts on the first half, his chance to watch this Utah team operate. We'll also give you an update on the other game going on tonight, High Point and VMI, the 10th ranked High Point Panthers, a team that has been really, really good so far this season. Speaking of really good, this is about as good as you could get in a first year of Division I lacrosse for Utah. I mean, it's tough to ask this program to do any more. Sitting at 4-4, and you compare that to what some other teams have done recently in going Division I in their first 8 games, and they're better than everybody.
Yeah, and these aren't programs that we're talking about here that didn't have successful second, third, fourth years. All of these teams, Richmond has won the SoCon a few times now. Michigan is a successful program. They're, competing in one of the toughest conferences in lacrosse. Marquette, 2-time Big East champs. And Cleveland State this year making some noise. Like
Yes.
Utah, very ambitious schedule, but they're hanging in.
Both Utah and Cleveland State, 2 of the 4 independent programs in Division I men's lacrosse. Certainly teams that would like to find a home in a conference. It's a conversation that continues to ongo about especially Utah and Cleveland State, as we'll see NJIT, one of the other 4 independent programs, join a conference next season. So it'll be left to Utah, Cleveland State, and Hampton as the only 3 independents entering next year. And it's just tough to get into the NCAA tournament without that automatic bid.
Yeah, really tough.
And tough to schedule, too, as Brian Holman and Dylan Sheridan have figured out.
You got 9 at-larges, and everybody who gets in from the ACC is coming in at-large. So whether that's 3, 4, 5 teams, that's hogging up a lot of spots right off the bat.
Under a minute to go here, Utah with a 3-goal lead, their largest of the night, looking to add to it before the break. And they can essentially hold for 1 here at the end of the first half. Barely a point-something second difference between the shot clock and game clock here.
Yeah, it looks like that's what they're going to do. They're really not in a rush right now.
What time do you like to go here?
Depends if you're playing against a man or a zone defense, but I would say get into it at 10 seconds, although the last game we called Albany Drexel, 15 was too much.
It's
and
true.
There's a transition goal the other way.
Skip pass out top.
Good hitch.
Feldstedt saved by Corsiniti. Quickly the other way, nobody home. A big save for Corsiniti to keep it a 3-goal game, but how about Utah? Their second game of the week for the Utes, coming off the tight first half. They played down in Durham against Duke. They've got a 3-goal advantage at the break over the Fairfield Stags. After 2, Utah up 5-2 on Fairfield. We'll be back with the second half, but for now, we send you back inside the LSN Broadcast Center. For Utah, Wilson save. Putback is good. Jimmy Perkins with his first of the night.
Jimmy Perkins also the first person to score a goal in Utah lacrosse Division I history.
It all comes full circle.
It is coming full circle here on our Friday night. That's Brendan Glass-Sheen. I am Tom Eschen. Utah Fairfield 5-2 Utes. The Utes looking to win yet another game for the first season in program history here. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and you said before we got going here at the top of the show, they had Duke earlier in the week, and we thought, oh, maybe we got something brewing here. And it feels like when you have a game earlier in the week and you get yourself set up for this week coming up, some confidence when you're hanging with the Blue Devils.
Yeah, an East Coast trip. They play in three games in about a week's time. So
Yep.
their legs are going to be working the next couple days here. Let's take a look at the first half highlights, get you guys caught up and everything. Getting all set up. First Friday night game of the year for Fairfield. Let's get to the first quarter, shall we? Fairfield's up 1-0 here to start the game, but then here comes Utah. Jimmy Perkins, we just talked about him, to Aaron Feldstedt, wide open to tie up the game. It's all tied 1-1. We go later on in the first, less than 8 minutes to go, still tied. Jake Canthlon bringing the ball to the zone, and James Sexton finishes it off. Top shelf. Utah pulls ahead 2-1 early on in the first. A little low scoring to start the game here. You see a little bit of a scrum in front. Jimmy Perkins on the rebound, puts it back after the save. Let's get one more look because that happened really fast. Utah taking a 3-1 lead. There is the shot. Perkins right there in front, gathers it and scores. Nice stick-to-itiveness from Perkins. Later on in the second quarter, 6 minutes to go. Patrick Drake gets the pass from behind the net at X. Finds Taylor Straw at the point, who fires it in. Utah goes up 3-2. Utah is up 3-2 rather. Fairfield cutting that lead to 1. Utah then a couple man ups to end that first half and cashing in. Perkins again, another goal for Perkins. This time on the man up. Utah with a 4-2 lead. They scored about 2 goals in 21 seconds or so towards the end, 11 seconds rather, towards the end of that first half, as Utah taking a 5-2 lead into the second half. You saw most of the stats there for the most part. Perkins, 2 goals, 1 assist. He has 3 points. Nothing from Josh Stout just yet. He's been one of their more prolific scorers on the Utah side of things. And Fairfield, really not much going. I mean, they only got 2 goals, 5-2. Really not a lot impressive there. Let's take a look at some of the team stats now. What do you got there, Brendan?
Yeah, well, it's +1 in the ground ball game for Utah. And I think the number that jumps off the page here, Utah's got 12 shots on goal to a total of 15 shots. Fairfield has a total of 19 shots, but just 9 on the goal. That's been the issue for the Stags. Opportunities, but not making the most. And while Utah's turned the ball over, it makes a lot of sense as to why Fairfield has taken a bunch of shots in this one. They'll look to be a little more high percentage in that second half.
Efficiency key for Utah there in the first half, and obviously they've been very good on defense as well, and that's where we bring in Chris Marshall, our analyst. And Chris, we'll start with the defense and Liam Donnelly for Utah making several saves, especially at the beginning of that first half.
Yeah, Donnelly's been fantastic, but I think the defense is putting him in a position to be successful, and that's something I've talked about with goalie play. When a goalie has a bad game, it's not just their fault. When a goalie has a good game, they don't deserve all the credit. But I will say he's playing at a really high level. You said 9 shots on goal from the Stags. 7 of them have come into Donnelly where he's been able to make the saves. But the help defense has been really good. They're playing tight as a unit. and they've been able to force some bad shots. They're closing down the alleys. They're making them shoot from outside. I mean, you look at these shots; these are low-angle shots that they're trying to put on the frame. So I think when you look at the way the defense has been set up, they're putting Donnelly in a position to be successful, and then he is going out there and being successful. So it's good game planning, being backed up by good play.
Well, it looks like Utah's found its recipe at the faceoff. Guys, we're talking about it, Joe and Travis on the call. They found a solution there, it feels, because Stock was 0 for 3, and they've gotten a good outing so far from Nealman, who's 4 for 6.
Yeah, Nealman's been pretty darn good today, and he goes out there and he just makes it hard. And we've seen Fairfield, face-off guy, not be able to keep it in his stick. And Nealman's really been putting pressure on the hands, and they kicked it out of bounds, or it's found its way to Utah. So Nealman's doing a great job of exactly what it's his job to do. You look on the season, I mean, he's taken 100 faceoffs. He's only about 30%. So he's doing really well considering how he's done over the course of the season, but he's going out and doing exactly what they're asking him to do, whereas just making things difficult on the Fairfield faceoff unit. And I think when you look at Fairfield on the season, Lambetti is 4 for 8. That's right where he is on the season. He's just a shade over 50% on the year, so he's where he needs to be. But you look at Nealman on the Utah side, and he's been doing a great job of instituting, I think, another good game plan.
And it's interesting about you mentioned them making things difficult just at the face-off X, but it seems like a first-year program like Utah, they've made things difficult on everybody. What do you think that says about what that coaching staff has implemented into their program to say, hey, it's a first-year program, but we're going to compete and we're going to do whatever we can, find a different guy at the face, we're going to do whatever we can to sort of make things hard on teams?
Well, I mean, I think they're taking on the personality of their coaches. I think you look at the guys on their staff, and it's Holman and Manny and Gittleman. Those are gritty guys. Those are guys on attack who ride hard. Those are guys on defense in Gittleman who tries to innovate, who likes to be a goalie who's very active, who really does a great job of talking to his defense. I mean, they're guys who play hard, and I think that's coming through on this team, and that's something that's important. I mean, these guys lead by example. You have the opportunity to see them go out and play on Saturday, and you see them out there riding hard, and I think that's a principle that they've instilled in this squad. So you can definitely see the personalities of the coaching staff coming through on the field.
Chris, before we let you go, let's find out what Fairfield needs to do to get back in this game. Give us a key or two for the Stags to rally at home here.
They got to shoot better. You look at the stats like you mentioned, Brendan, and 80% of the shots that Utah have shot have hit the frame. Less than 50% of the shots that Fairfield has taken have hit the frame. You look at Beckwith in particular with 7 shots and no goals. They're going to have to shoot more efficiently. They're going to have to find a way to break down the middle. They're getting some good matchups behind the cage when they're attacking from X. So I think that might be a better point of emphasis for them. That was how they were able to create the second goal, this one on the step down shot. So I think when you look at that, that's a place where I think they can have some success. So they need to shoot better, and I think they'll probably come out stronger in the second half at the face-off X.
Yeah, see them be a little more efficient too in the second half, and see wherever the averages lie, I guess, and see where things can come out. Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it. You'll be with us for the second half as well. We got another game going on tonight. One more game, actually. High Point in action against VMI. And let's take a look at this score update right now. It's High Point all over VMI right now. And Asher Nolting, we've heard his name several times this year. He has 5 goals and an assist and 9 shots in the first half. Pretty good. Chris Young also with 3 goals for High Point as they are dominating for the most part. They've won 13 of 15 faceoffs this game. So pretty impressive. Tim Troutner Jr., as I should mention also, has 5 saves as well. He's the number 2 pick in the MLL draft going to Florida. So pretty good start there for High Point tonight.
All right. Panthers in good shape. Plenty of action in the women's game, which will be all over in the next couple of days. Defending national champs, the James Madison Dukes. There it is. I'm blanking for a second. Take on Temple right here on LSN on Saturday as well. That's a 1 p.m. Eastern start on LSN 2. It's free no matter what it is, 1 or 2. LaxSportsNetwork.com and the LSN app.
And if you're ever wondering, again, there's a lot of information on that graphic that you might not see next time. Dukes is on there.
Yes.
So is the time. Someone asked what the time of the game was. That's tomorrow. Right? All right. So you can check out more coverage from Lacrosse Now after the game. Just asking everybody to read. That's okay. All right, Lacrosse Now after the game. We'll have breakdowns. We'll look ahead to tomorrow. Some NLL stuff too. So should be a fun time for sure. We'll be back obviously throughout the second half here. So we head back out to Fairfield. Let's do it.
What do the Stags got?
We'll see.
Back at Rafferty Stadium in Fairfield, Connecticut. Your CAA game of the week where Utah leads Fairfield 5-2 as we get ready to start the second half. Travis Eldridge and Joe Keegan back with you here on LSN. Joe, we take a look at the highlights. It started with a Fairfield strike early from Taylor Stroud, who was red hot earlier in the week. But Utah settled down and had plenty of answers.
Yeah, Utah's winning those 50-50 battles, whether it's on offense, extending possessions, with the rebounds, with the loose balls out in front of the goal, or whether it's on defense, winning those runouts to the end line, assisted ground balls. They're scrapping off the faceoff. This goal right here, off a faceoff loss, turns into a Fairfield clear, and they kind of ride it right back immediately with the street hockey goal.
And so it leads Utah up by 3, their largest lead of the night, entering this third quarter. Taylor Stroud, the only 2 goals for Fairfield so far. And as we talked about throughout this first half, you're just joining us, not a traditional face-off guy for this Utah program. They'll throw a bunch of different guys out there. For most of it, it's been Seth Nealman, the long pole, a close defenseman who does a little bit of everything for Utah. And here he wins the scrum for a loose ball and wins a face-off for the Utes.
Yeah, just lifted and lifted and made it impossible for Lynch to pick up the ball. Felstead with a little assist there on the ground ball. Utah is just going to scrap on those situations. They're going to let Fairfield win the clamp, but then if Fairfield's predictable with their exits, Nealman's going to be all over them.
And credit to Utah, they were 50% at the faceoff X in the first half. They win the first one, so they're over 50% so far tonight.
I'd have to double check with Greg Gorenlian, but I think once a pole is playing on the faceoff, you want to get that for Fairfield, you want your faceoff man to be standing up on 2 feet. You don't want him to be down on one knee because it makes him slower to get out of that exit. Nealman's all over him right off the whistle.
And we have a scrum for this loose ball. The refs will give it to Fairfield, and they will look to clear, get their first offensive set of this third quarter.
Yeah, just good physical defense by the Fairfield short sticks. Punching hips.
Taylor Stroud goes one-man show for the clear. Got 2 goals so far tonight. Honestly, if not for the goalies, this would be a much more high-scoring game. Both goalies playing well in that first half. Liam Donnelly for Utah with 7 saves. James Corsiniti with 7 as well. He now is up to 8 on the night for Fairfield.
Here comes that low wing isolation against the short stick. Let's see if they can turn it into the pick game. Good stick in the passing lanes.
Yeah, Quinn's pass is deflected, and Donnelly comes out to win the ground ball.
That's such a tough pass. In past years, without a shot clock where offenses are really valuing possession, a lot of teams don't allow you to throw that back across your body to the picker. They're looking for other passes.
Utah looking to get over 500 here tonight. Sitting at 4-4 on the season. Both these teams looking to get over 500 as Fairfield enters at 3-3. As Josh Stout initiates from X. Here comes Perkins. Back to Stout.
Good look.
Pass in front, just wide, as Redmond got a really good look at that one.
Yeah, strong closeout by Fairfield. Broke the stick on that.
So Redmond, as he leaves some debris on the field, will go and find a new stick.
Yeah, building off what we were talking about in the first half, where the Utah offense is so impressive in the ways that they allow so many guys to create. I think them moving from one action to the next, if that dodge at X isn't there, they move it for a dodge on the high wing.
Shot sails high from Cantlin, and that will not reset the shot clock, so a shot clock violation on Utah.
Great hustle by Fairfield. Like you said, shot clock violation either way. That's going to be Stack's ball.
And watch Perkins here. He just, if you're not paying attention in the clear against Utah, they'll make you pay. Just make you think about everything a little bit more as Adam Reestis brings it into the offensive end.
They make you earn it for sure, whether it's a ground ball or a clear. They take pride in those hustle plays.
Stroud's been the dude for Fairfield. 6 goals on Tuesday. He's got 2 tonight, number 12 in white. They have not been able to get some of their other guys going, as Dylan Beckwith, their leading scorer entering tonight, hasn't been able to get a point this evening. And Patrick Drake, the freshman attackman, hasn't had much going, just an assist, as that ball is taken away.
Short stick with the takeaway. You just don't see that a lot, but really good physical defense, gets low. And that's where you want to lay into your cross checks if you're an on-ball defender. You want to punch the hips. Riding up high, you're going to get a flag. You're not really going to move the guy a lot.
Long pull shot from Camber. He's already got a goal tonight, but he can't cash in. And here comes Brian Cosgrove.
Could be numbers the other way.
Looking for an option. He's got to go back with it, though.
Yeah, great hustle by Utah. Got back in the hole. They had 2 poles down there on that fast break, and Fairfield was able to have some more guys running. They could have capitalized on that.
James Corsiniti for the Stags, up to 9 saves already tonight.
We're seeing so many high save totals in the shot clock era.
There are more shots that are maybe not perfect, not the exact shot you want, just a good shot, and it's created more opportunities for more standard saves as Beckwith dodges and loses it. Loose ball push will give it back to Fairfield.
Yeah, whether they're the quality of the shots that we've seen in the past, it's still a shot on goal. The late, great Dave Huntley presented at LaxCon a few years ago. Shots on goal, if you...
Another save from Donnelly, and that was a great shot as Beckwith off the rebound. He can't put it home. Another shot saved. How about one more? Another stop from Donnelly.
And a dive out nowhere near the end line, but Utah's going to sell out.
Holy cow. Stroud couldn't get it to go, and then a helmet.
He dropped to his knees on a couple of those, pops right back up, locates the ball. That's a ridiculous sequence from Donnelly.
And we've got a timeout as Utah is all sorts of pumped up. Utah playing game 2 of their spring break trip as we take a look at what this journey has been like. It started, of course, in Salt Lake City. They flew earlier this week to Durham, North Carolina to play Duke. They were in that game against the Blue Devils, as we talked about. Ended up losing that one 17-11. Spent another day on Wednesday, got a chance to use the Blue Devils facilities there in practice. Then came up, flew to New York, then bust after a 40-minute bus delay because the bus driver was stuck in traffic. Drove there to Connecticut, and then after this game, they head up to UMass on Sunday before they will go to Boston to fly all the way back to Salt Lake City. Overall, about 5,000 miles traveled for this youth program on their spring break trip. You know, I don't know if Fairfield, Connecticut, and Amherst, Massachusetts, and Durham, North Carolina are Cancun, but for these guys, they're having a good time.
Yeah, this is what they want to do. The passion, you can see it on them in these games. You think the Holmans wanted to get that against Duke, the old UNC-Duke rivalry, and I'm sure Sunday Will Manny is going to want to stick it to his alma mater.
As you see, Liam Donnelly with 2 saves. I think he got some help from the post on one of those. standing tall. He's up to double-digit saves now. He's got 10 saves. His career best was against Furman earlier this season when he made 17. But get this, he is now double-digit saves in all 9 games this season.
Insane. Back to my point about the high shots on goal totals. Coach Hunley's study showed that the more shots on goal you allow, or the more saves you have, I should say, the less likely you are to win the game. And it's because you're allowing more shots on goal. It's an indication of, it's a good proxy for time of possession or the quality of shots that you're allowing. But whether these are the same quality that we've seen in years past or not, they're still shots on goal. You still have to cover 36 square feet of cage.
It has been a barrage for Fairfield, but they just cannot seem to solve Liam Donnelly. Here's Travis Ford, who's bodied up.
Nailman, great on-ball defense.
Now
find it through that pick.
Back to Ford. The deflection, and that got by Donnelly, but wide. Finally, a putback goes. Jack Brennan with his second goal of the season. Fairfield needed that one.
Yet Nailman was so strong on that original contest that he almost took so much off of it that it allowed Fairfield to catch that rebound, keep it in play. Anytime the ex-attackman can catch a rebound like that and feed into a recovering defense, a scrambling defense that might not have its bearings straight, you're going to find open shooters. It's really tough. It makes what Liam Donnelly just did a few minutes ago even more impressive when you see how tough it is to string saves like that together. Good heads-up play by Fairfield.
The first goal of this second half for Fairfield. Give the assist to Patrick Drake, his second of the evening. Face-off win. Fairfield goes back with it. And now Utah will look to ride and see if they can get it back. Instead, a good clear here as George Elmquist gets it into the offensive end.
Yeah, good clear, good exit on that face-off.
A dive! We've got a flag. Does it count? It's good. The goal is good for Fairfield. Back-to-back goals as Dylan Beckwith went airborne.
That's a great time to attack by Beckwith. We talked about Utah doing it in that sub game. If you're not getting your chances dodging 6-on-6, dodge when you're playing 3-on-3, 4-on-4. Go at your man. Utah doesn't have a slide ready. That underneath move being made available with the crease dive is so huge for offenses. It almost expands the field. It puts more pressure on the defense to cover more ground.
Now, of course, with the new dive rule, the question is you need to be diving away from the goal mouth. Some people may say, well, Beckwith landed where the goalie would be standing, but Cambert with that push is the reason why, and that's what the refs will say, the reason why Beckwith landed where he did, and because the goal went in before he landed in the crease, it's a good goal, correct?
Correct. That's how it's phrased, but that's not how we've always seen it adjudicated by the refs. We've seen guys get pushed into the goalie, and then they say that he was diving into the goal mouth, even though he was clearly diving in a different direction when he left his feet. I agree with that call. The Utah defense pushed Beckwith into the goalie. He wasn't diving at the goalie, so should be a good goal.
As Fairfield wins the faceoff.
Yeah, they want to get their personnel on here, burning a timeout to take advantage of that man up.
And so the Stags will talk things over. We'll step aside. Fairfield with back-to-back goals to get back within one on our CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network.
Hey everybody, Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. Fairfield just getting the week started in the Colonial Athletic Association. Let's take a look at what's in store for the rest of the league and the weekend. Towson playing the number 2 team in the country for the second straight week. Last week following the number 2 Cornell. This week playing number 2 Duke in Durham. That game 1 p.m. start on ACC Network Extra. The rest of the CAA men's schedule as follows. Drexel taking on 14th ranked Georgetown. Delaware at 17th, Johns Hopkins. Hofstra hosting Providence. Then on Sunday, UMass hosting Utah. Utes quick turnaround after tonight's game. Here's a look at the women's side of things now. Hofstra and High Point playing at U.S. Lacrosse headquarters. JMU and Temple, a game you can see right here on LSN at 1. William and Mary hosting VCU on Sunday. Full coverage from all that action on lacrosse now. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. See you then.
So Fairfield called that timeout. It's not an extra man because the penalty was waived off on the goal. They just wanted to talk some things over here in the third quarter as they have a possession off the face-off win. Here's a look at the upcoming schedule here for the Stags. A couple more non-conference games after tonight. They go to NJIT, and then a tough one against a really good Villanova squad, despite the tough weekend Nova had last weekend in the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. You saw here on LSN, a team that's spent a bunch of time in the top 20, and then they open up CAA play with Delaware at the end of the month.
2 tough losses, but I think they belong there. That's a young Villanova team, a lot of talent.
Pass in front, and Brennan couldn't quite get that one down. Good opportunity in the middle.
Sick handle by Brennan to be able to catch that, pull that back to his left, and let that go.
Beckwith, another save. But it resets the shot clock, so a fresh 80 for Fairfield. Now 11 stops for Liam Donnelly.
Yeah, and you see that arc. You think he's sitting back on his heels with his heels on goal line while Beckwith goes airborne again for a crease dive. He went out to meet him.
This is Taylor Stroud, 2 goals tonight. Beckwith, I don't know where he was passing that one, but it's taken away by Nealman.
Yeah, Fairfield's going to that weave offense a lot. Really haven't been generating anything. Fairfield's been great with, Utah's defense has been great with their communication through those picks, that weave concept at the midfield.
And so Perkins looks to start things up from X. With Jimmy Perkins for Utah, transfer from Robert Morris, who actually had a big part in that upset win over Penn State last year. That was really the win that put Robert Morris on the map a year ago in that big year that they had heading to the NCAA tournament. Coach Holman couldn't say enough about what Perkins has meant to the confidence of this team. He's been out at different times dealing with an ankle injury, but he said his confidence to say, hey guys, I've played these teams before. It's okay. We can handle these teams has been so important to their confidence overall as a team in their first year in Division I.
Absolutely, and I think that Robert Morris background really gels with what Utah would like to do. Having these assistant coaches who play at the pro level, they want to play a pro style, and Robert Morris is very much an up-and-down team.
Pretty catch and finish in front. Utah back on the board for the first time in the second half.
Sexton again with that finish from the feed up top. Really difficult when you have a midfield feeder for you to catch, turn, find the cage. We talked about Wilson's dodging ability. So shifty. That change of direction there. Anytime you can get him in space. They've been initiating with him a lot on the wing. Here we see him up at the midfield. I'd like to see him invert a little bit at X. He's so shaky. He's able to draw that slide, or at least the eyes of the defense. He didn't draw a full slide there so much as a hedge, but it was able to get the Fairfield defense turned around and lose track of Sexton.
Sexton's second of the night. Nice off-ball cut from him. A junior from Niskayuna, New York.
Couple good defensive exits by Labetti here. There they didn't even have to turn back to the goalie and turn it into a full field clear.
And Utah's okay with that. If they know we're going to send you back and make you at least work, not give you an advantage off the faceoff, they've seemed to be content with settling for just giving up the possession, not giving up a transition opportunity.
It's worked out all right.
It has.
We're tied with Duke at halftime despite losing 14 of 16 faceoffs.
As Taylor Stroud looks to get those hands free again. He's dangerous when he does. Nice shifty move from Bernard.
He wants his right. Good check.
And a takeaway.
Utah's really denying top side for those shooters. We've seen Fairfield take a lot of shots down the alley. They scored early off it, but they want the middle of the field, and Utah's just denying it really well.
Impressive handle there from Nick Hapney as he gets out of some trouble and gets it to this offense. That's one thing that the Utah long poles have not had a problem with. They're definitely okay with taking this ball into the offensive end.
Yeah, and here's another one picking back all the way behind the opponent's cage.
It's got a long run back to the substitution box as Wilson looks to trigger again.
Would love to see a Fitbit on some of these Utah poles. These guys are
everywhere. They do a lot of running.
Yeah.
Perkins. 2 goals and an assist tonight.
Here's Wilson again initiating.
Bounce shot sails just a little wide and does not reset the shot clock, so still 15 seconds to work. Stout quickly.
Yeah, this is when you want to get it to Stout. He's their guy who can create with low time. Or Wilson. He's proven he can win his matchup tonight.
Wilson dives toward the goal.
It's got to be a goal.
No goal. They wave it off.
The angle he took, you hear them down on the field saying, give us the replay. You got to see this because,
that's tough, but it's just turned right back over for Fairfield, so Utah gets it right back as Aaron Feldstedt quickly brings it back in.
it was maybe towards the goal mouth, but he landed before the area where the goalie would typically be standing, except the goalie came out to meet him, created the contact. So there's the other thing, right?
But there was no penalty. They didn't throw the flag on the dive.
They didn't.
They just wiped it off.
Yeah, I think they got the first call right. That was a good goal by Fairfield. Now, I'm not sure. I think I disagree with that one.
In front, another stop. We have a push that'll keep this ball with Utah.
Yeah, Fairfield almost stole one on the end line there. Dive in. With the reach, it's actually not the pole that counts as the reach. It's the farthest body part on you. So it doesn't matter if you're a defender or an attackman.
It's just for appearances.
Yeah. Hey, these are refs. These are humans making a decision off a split second. You know, it's like calling balls and strikes.
Sometimes you can fool them.
Exactly.
There's Stout and Sexton working. Now back out to Jake Cantlin. Got the short stick matchup and Adam Reestis.
Yeah, I like these strong side initiations.
Bounce shot! What a laser from Cantlin!
That stuck the corner. What we mean by a strong side initiation, he's a lefty. He's dodging with his stick to the middle. So he's working to get to the middle of the field and get that left hand free, rather than start from the middle of the field and move towards the alley with the stick to the outside. This really tough ask of a short stick to stay with him through that change of direction, through the roll dodges. Really unpredictable shot. Drops his stick a little bit and bounces it to the top shelf.
As you see, Will Manny giving some instructions to Cantlin on the sideline. The freshman from British Columbia. Maybe using some of those box skills with getting a little screen help and sends it off the carpet to get a goal. And Utah back up by 3 here, under 3 minutes to go in the third. All the way in, a flag. The refs talk over the dive. Do we have another one wiped off? They want to get away from everybody.
This is a tough job. Yeah, this rule has not given more clarity, and that was what we thought was going to happen. If anything, is more ambiguous.
Frankie Labetti gets the goal to go. And they wave off the flag as the face-off man has his third of the year.
Yeah. They called the push. It looked like he might have taken off after he was pushed. He kind of had his feet under him. It certainly was pushed, but maybe before he launched himself into the air. Either way, excellent hustle by Labetti, who's been asked to win those faceoffs and, like we talked about, escape Nealman all day. He's been having to run around a lot. Fairfield's alternating faceoff guys just to keep them both fresh. And Labetti was able to escape Nealman just for long enough. His teammates are not options. Utah's locking off everyone else. They're essentially daring him to score, which he did there.
So Labetti able to win that face-off and take it in. Now we get a look at Liam Lynch, who wins it back to himself. And Fairfield will look to take advantage of another possession.
Aggressive ride here.
Utah certainly doesn't make it easy, despite the fact that they struggle at the face-off X all the way through, and that shot never got in. A ping-pong ball around, and we've got a late flag. Looks to likely be a late hit, and maybe a look at the Fairfield extra man unit.
Good eat there by the Utah defense. Looked like the aggressive ride almost led way to that shot. I think they're okay giving that up. We've seen them do it off faceoffs, off full field clears. They're going to play aggressive in that ride. If one guy shakes free and is able to create his shot, it's, worth all the extra possessions they can ride back.
Dominic Mata, number 50 there in black, you see here, comes up high late as that scrum continued, and he draws the flag. So an extra man unit here on for Fairfield. Just 31% on the season so far.
I'd have to imagine they want Stroud to get this shot here.
Stroud working there at the top of the box, number 12 in white. He's got 2 goals tonight, coming off a 6-goal performance on Tuesday. Skip pass down low off the post.
Oh, look, pass from Stroud.
That's a great look. He couldn't quite squeeze it in there for Brennan, I believe, on that far side. Beckwith brings it back in. Still about 30 seconds to operate on the extra man. Ford can't quite get it on frame.
Donnelly standing tall, cutting down the angles. Extra man saves, fast break saves, those are almost like a daily double. They should count for extra.
Drake back out top. That one kicked away.
Another fresh 80.
And just 6 seconds left on the man up. Ford back out top to Stroud, just too high.
Good kill by Utah. Now let's see if they can complete the defensive sequence with 74 more seconds of defense. They've got to be a little bit tired playing man down there.
Yeah, still a lot of time for Fairfield to operate. Down by 2 here late in the third quarter. Dylan Beckwith way out toward midfield against Cambert. Step down, shot and a score. Brennan with another.
Love that off-ball move by Brennan. That's a little pick, slip, kind of like a mirror, seesaw cut action, whatever you want to call it. They work that little 2-man game. He baits his man into sliding to the sweep and then slips to space, hitches after he catches that, and attacks the middle of the field. Anytime you can get your defender sprinting at you and you fake that shot there and then move to improve your angle, you're setting yourself up for success.
Jack Brennan entered this game with just 1 goal on the season in 6 games. He's got 2 tonight. The transfer from Colgate and the senior from Manhasset, New York. Able to get Fairfield back within 1. Stags have only led this game once. That was at 1-0 as Lebetti wins it forward to Drake. Shot sails way high. Almost went over the netting at the back of the field there, but it'll stay with Fairfield.
Second half, Lebetti has been really varying his exits off that face-off win. We've seen him go back a few times. There he pops it forward. And really, he's not clamping it so much as almost pushing it to that space and then chasing it and going to win it, getting the ground ball there rather than trying to pick it up with Nealman on him. He's creating separation from Nealman, then winning the ground ball.
20 seconds left in the third quarter. Fairfield can hold for 1 here as Beckwith gets a pick.
Yeah, 2-man game.
Feed down low. What a backhand shot that hits the post. Still 10 seconds left. Fairfield keeps. That was a great look to tie it up. From way downtown, Ford! And it's saved when 1 more shot all the way down from Donnelly. And it doesn't go. So Utah entered this quarter with a 3-goal lead. Fairfield cutting into it. But the Utes, the first-year program, still up by 1. Entering the 4th. Fairfield looking to come back. Jack Brennan with a pair. We'll be back with the 4th quarter in our CAA Game of the Week.
Everybody, Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. One more quarter to play in Fairfield. Looks like it's going to be a great finish with that 1-goal lead for Utah right now. A lot of action in that third quarter. Elsewhere, now that we're a month and a half into the college season, we're keeping an eye on some pretty lofty records that are on pace to be broken at this point. Last weekend, Grant Ament dished out 9 assists on Friday. Followed that up with another 8 assists and 2 goals against Jacksonville. If you do the math, 17 assists in 2 games. His 46 assists so far this season. Already broken the single-season Penn State record, and it's mid-March. They haven't played half their games yet. Going inside the numbers even more, at his current pace of 8 points per game, Ament is on pace to break the single-season points record of 128 held by Lyle Thompson. He would break the record with just 1 postseason game. He's also on pace to wildly surpass the NCAA single-season assist record, which is 77. Ament at 46 in just 7 games. On the women's side, while Sam Apuzzo cooled off a little last weekend, Duke's Charlotte North picked up the trail of Kylie Ohlmiller's record. North with 7 goals in Duke's 11-10 win over Louisville last weekend, now with 51 points in 7 games, averaging 7.29 points per game, which puts her just a few percentage points short of Kylie Ohlmiller's 7.45 when she set the single-season points record of 164 in 2017. Make sure to stay tuned after the game at Fairfield. Lacrosse now will start immediately after. All the highlights and reaction from this one, and we'll travel around the world of lacrosse as we do every night right here on LAC Sports Network. We'll see you then, but for now, here's the fourth quarter.
15 more minutes to go in Fairfield, Utah, looking to hold on and get win number 5 on the season. Travis Eldridge, Joe Keegan back with you for the fourth quarter, and we've said the names a whole bunch, Joe, as we look at this Utah coaching staff, along with Brian Holman, who came into this program in 2016. Adam Gittleman, the pro goalie, joined him along with his son Marcus and Will Manny as well. 3 pros on this coaching staff. A couple of guys who are the assistant coaches. Marcus Holman listed as the volunteer assistant with this program. But 3 guys that are just invaluable for these Utah players to learn from and pick their brains.
Such great resources for the young players. And the true mark of a great coach is when you can see their footprint on the team. We've talked about it in the past with Sean Nadalin at Towson, where they play tough like him. You can see their style of play. Manny, Holman, Gittleman. Gittleman is one of the scrappiest goalies. He is so willing to play outside his crease and do whatever his team needs for him. Manny and Holman are huge riding, ground ball attackmen, in addition to all the scoring that they do. It's really just no task is, below anybody on this Utah team. They're all up for whatever their coaches ask for them, which is huge for a young program.
Yeah, and that ride there is a perfect example of how difficult this team can make it on their opponents.
The ride's such a team effort. Nobody's really going to be awarded with a stat at the end of the day if you get a ride back. Maybe one person gets that caused turnover, but it's really a full team effort. It takes everybody to buy in. And it takes a lot of energy that you could be spending, trying to get your points on the offensive end. So for you to give up that energy is huge. It's sacrificing yourself, putting the team in front of yourself.
Taylor Stroud, the first 2 goals for Fairfield, looking to get this team back even. They have not been tied since it was 1-1. Brendan Quinn gets sent behind. Pretty feet in front. Ford couldn't quite handle it.
Good feed. Fairfield's really not moving the defense, though. They're not getting slide drawn from the inside.
Big hit from Ford from Beckwith to get the ball back. Dylan Beckwith laying the lumber. And here he comes quickly. Beckwith, one-handed finish.
Are you kidding me?
There's one for the highlight reels.
While we're discussing Utah and how hard they hustle on the ride, Fairfield says, we ride too. Beckwith with the individual effort to get the ball back and go all the way.
We've got to see this thing for the beginning because Dylan Beckwith a little shook it up after probably landing awkwardly on that dive. He creates the turnover with a big hit around midfield, picks it up on the quick restart. Here we go. Big hit there on Felstead. Causes the turnover, And then quickly the other way, here comes Beckwith. And the one-handed finish, that's about what you've needed to do against Liam Donnelly tonight.
Yeah, you got to throw that little fake, move the goalie, and you got to go before you're playing 6-on-6. Beckwith's goals tonight, he's dodging during the sub game. He's dodging after the ride. It's really impossible to defend a failed clear.
Other way, kick save from Corsiniti.
And a kick ground ball playing into space by Perkins.
Certainly no lack of effort from either side tonight.
Yeah, both goalies are playing so well right now, giving their teams a chance.
So Utah will settle it down, back tied up at 7 apiece in this fourth quarter.
Anytime you see a 7-7 game in the shot clock era, you know either the goalies are playing well.
Stouts with an answer. Utah back out on top.
He's their guy. We haven't seen them go to him too much today. Fairfield's been making it tough for him to catch the ball. Utah's been letting some other guys attack those short stick matchups, but Stout at X can beat just about anybody in the country. Good, hard, right-to-right move. He squares the defender up and then goes to his dominant right hand.
We were talking so much about Will Manny and Marcus Holman, and when I talked to Brian Holman, the head coach, earlier this morning, he said, Josh came to us at Utah, and he's a Utah native. He came to this program as a really good shooter. He said, credit to 3 people, now he's a great lacrosse player. And that's credit to Josh, Marcus Holman, and Will Manny. The 3 of them have put in a ton of work to get Josh Stout to where he is today, and he entered this game top 5 in the country in goals per game, averaging 3.5 per. That's his first tonight, but his 29th of the season.
Like you said, he's doing it in so many ways, whether it's step-down shots or initiating from X. He's really the complete offensive lacrosse player, and he rides.
Great tiptoe work there for Fairfield to get the clear. Brendan Dreyer tiptoeing the sideline to get it down to Dylan Beckwith, who stays in after we saw him down on the ground for a little bit after that terrific effort for the last goal for Fairfield.
Let's see what Fairfield goes to. They like that weave midfield offense, and they like initiating from the low wing against these short sticks. Looks like they're going back there. No slide.
Kick back out on top. Big shot from Ford off the bar. That thing almost knocked the net over.
Yeah, that's a hard shot, but maybe not from the spot where you want it. It's a good shot, but not a great shot. And that starts with this initial dodge. If they can draw a slide from the Utah defense, then they'll get a better step-down shot.
Quinn, and it's stolen away by Donnelly in the crease.
And that spot on the field, the low wing, I don't hate it. It's a great spot to initiate with that crease dive. They're dodging from an angle where if they dive, they're moving away from the goal mouth. So it's a tough ask for a short stick to defend topside and that crease dive at the same time.
Stout wanted some more. Well off on that shot, but he's got a backup in James Sexton. So Fairfield was able to tie this thing up beginning of the fourth. Utah with an answer from Josh Stout, and now a chance to go back up 2.
Invert set here.
That's Sexton behind the cage, and he's
Looks
got
like it's Felstead with the ball.
Excuse me, Felstead.
Yeah.
He's got the short stick and Reestis. Back out top to Stout. He thought about that. Still 30 seconds to operate.
Yeah, Felstead at X. He's got the pole on him now. It doesn't matter. They're still comfortable with him dodging. This might be a razor pick from Perkins, or Perkins wants to hang up.
And he's got it.
Not a lot of time. Again, do they pick on goal line extended, or does he try to win that race to goal line extended?
Perkins rolls near side. He had Sexton, but he couldn't handle the pass. Kicked forward, and a ground ball by Fairfield.
Great ground ball. Way to fight through that lift there.
And Jack Brennan gets it to the offensive zone.
that hang-up just hasn't been very productive. They've been able to get it. They haven't been scoring off of it. They did against Duke, but we've seen a couple nice looks. The pick, then we've seen the pick and slip there. They were just looking to feed step-down shooters. I think they're so comfortable dodging and winning their one-on-ones that they're having a lot more luck doing that than creating those hang-ups and trying to feed the cutters.
Stroud on the run. He's still stuck on those 2 goals, the first 2 for Fairfield. Feed down to Quinn. He just took his eye off of it and gives it to Donnelly in the crease. But a push after the fact as we've got Quinn down. And he took a hit. Not feeling good after that one.
It's his arm or wrist, whatever it is, that does not look good. Hope he's all right.
Quinn comes out, but Fairfield keeps possession. It looked like it happened before that push. The loose ball push gives it back to the Stags.
He's back with great on-ball defense.
Ford back to Beckwith, steps down, another pipe. And Fairfield celebrating like it's a goal. And so we're going to have another conference between our crew. Referee Anthony Peranti, Peter Weaver, the umpire, and field judge Christopher Schmidt going to talk this one over.
It's a good move by Beckwith to find space. His defender crashed adjacent. He was open for that step down. We got to see a replay, but I don't know.
We'll wait for the call here. If anything, they're going to say that it hit just inside the top of the bar, and they do. Refs rule it's a goal, and Fairfield has tied this up. Let's take a look. Ford to Beckwith. And if you see it bounce down, if we can get another look at that thing, it looks like it may have just inside the line.
We need slow-mo.
You may need a goal cam to see this thing.
I truly don't know on this.
Yeah, oh yes, it's in.
There it is.
You can see. It looks there. Oh, there's definitely separation between that white line.
Good call.
And the turf in there. And
that's it.
Hey,
amazing call.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that thing was flying off the pipe.
I don't know what you talk about in that situation as a 3-man ref crew.
So what did you see? Unless you can
one of them saw the goal.
Unless you can slow this thing down in live time in your mind, I don't know how they figured that out, but they did. And Adam Reestis holds on to it here for Fairfield.
Yeah, unless the refs have one of those Black Mirror replay chips in their mind. They're just kind of talking, and one of them got it right, convinced the rest of the crew. Great call. And a great shot by Beckwith.
Hey, a reminder for you, start your lacrosse Saturdays with LSN College Central here on LAC Sports Network. 11:30 a.m. Eastern every Saturday. She is saved by Donnelly and turned right back over here to Fairfield. Getting you ready tomorrow for all the biggest games around the country. Don't let your game day begin without checking out LSN College Central, only here on LAC Sports Network. 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. We'll set the stage for all the big matchups, including that big one in the Ivy League. Yale and Cornell, a couple of top 4 teams doing battle not far from here in Fairfield in Connecticut.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. Looking forward to that.
Dylan
a low wing
Beckwith.
again.
Oh, he had his man there on the doorstep as Ford couldn't finish.
Feels like that's the first time they've really drawn the defense away from the crease off that move. But they got to look to attack elsewhere from that weave offense at the midfield, because Utah's defense, their poles are so rangy. They're covering a lot of space, really denying those looks too.
Oh, we've got a good one here midway through this fourth quarter, all knotted up at 8 apiece. Travis Eldridge, Joe Keegan with you here in our CAA Game of the Week. The first-year program Utah looking to get back above 500 at 5-4, while Fairfield is looking to get above 500 as well, sitting at 3-3 entering this one of their final tests before CAA play. And Fairfield defender just ran all the way through that pick, and then we've got a flag down, an extra man coming for the Utes.
Yeah, he ran through that up high. I don't think it was intentional. He just might not have seen it coming until the last second.
Perkins swims behind, backside to Sexton. He couldn't cash in, and because of the crease violation on Sexton, we're going to get our flag.
There it is.
Yeah. Got up underneath that face mask.
Yeah, tall guy running through a bit of a shorter pick.
Hey,
Just
credit Brian Cosgrove on doing a battle with Josh Stout tonight, because Cosgrove, a typical long stick midfielder for this Fairfield defense, asked to play close with some of the pieces they've been missing at that end of the field, and he's done a pretty good job so far tonight.
Excellent job. Not an easy transition to move from pull to close defense, and it doesn't make it easier to face a guy like Josh Stout.
1 minute extra man. Utah was able to cash in on one of these earlier.
Yeah, another shutoff here for Stout. They pick for him on the inside, try to pop him free. Still can't shake that guy, but so Utah's just going to play this out with the space.
Playing a 5-on-4 for the most part as Stout looks to roam around the outside.
Worked for them the first time.
Did. Got Wilson in there working behind the cage. Dish back out top to Feldstedt. Now to Perkins, and it deflects off a Fairfield player.
Good eat. Utah is playing this with all 5 offensive players, aside from Stout, who's outside the play. All 5 of them on the perimeter. They're going to sneak somebody to the inside eventually on these.
Running out of time, 15 seconds left on the extra man. Perkins and Feldstedt playing pitch and catch from way downtown. How about that strike from Cantlin, his second of the night?
First goal, he used the earth, bounced it to the top shelf. This time he just skips the middleman, sends it top shelf. That was from distance, but again, 5-on-4. You're not stretched as wide as an offense as you would be 6-on-5. You get a little bit closer to the net because there are fewer defenders to cover that ground. Steps into that with time and room. It's a good shot.
A freshman from British Columbia showing off the range. He's got 3 points on the night, 2 goals and an assist, and he has Utah back up 1 under 6 minutes to go in this one.
It's a huge goal by Utah because I think Fairfield's 6-on-6 defense has really dialed it in lately. To get those, capitalize on those extra man opportunities and whatever fast break opportunities they can get down the stretch will be huge.
But credit Fairfield, just as I say that, figuring out this Utah face-off unit. They get the face-off win, which they have been stellar, 16 of 21 on the night, but a turnover there in the clear gives it right back to the Utes. They can use some time here on this offensive set.
Gets tougher as the night goes on to make those full field clears. Utah's just making them work. Let's see if they can capitalize off this.
It's Wilson going behind the cage. He's been active. Just 1 assist, but been very involved in this offense. Jump shot deflected and saved by Corsiniti, but it's a fresh 80.
Yeah, they got a matchup they like. I don't know if they'll sit on this for 80 seconds with a 1-goal lead, 4.5 minutes. I think Utah's still in attack mode.
Yeah, I think you almost have to be.
Yeah, which is so nice, isn't it, compared to years past?
It's true. You can't hold that ball for 3 minutes anymore with a couple of shots that sail a couple feet over the cage.
As if Matt Rambo can't hit the cage whenever he wants to. Sexton's
got the short stick matchup here with Ristas. Draws the quick slide. Now Feldstead. Still plenty of time to operate for the Utes.
Yeah, no rush. Short stick behind the cage.
Sexton to Wilson. What a shot from from Perkins, but Corsiniti up to the challenge. I don't know how he saw that thing coming.
Yeah, that was an unpredictable release. I think that's the Canadian egg roll. That was a nifty move by Perkins, but great defense by Fairfield. They slid from that mirror to that invert and really covered up the inside.
Just able to clear, and we're all tied up. Give Corsiniti an assist. Beckwith with a hat trick.
Wow, the rare goalie assist. And Beckwith, if you add up the shot clock, time that's ran off the clock, off all three of his goals, he's scoring, 5 seconds into the clock, 10 seconds in. Early offense has been when Beckwith has been at his best.
Corsiniti only had a second left to get it over midfield just in time, and Dylan Beckwith puts it home.
The Texas hat trick, his 4th goal of the game.
4 goals for Dylan Beckwith.
He's doing it as a step-down shooter, doing it off the ride for himself, and then doing it off the full field clear.
On a face-off win, Fairfield a chance to go in and transition. Beckwith wanted more, but no backup.
Wow, Utah ball.
And Beckwith knows that he didn't have any backup there. That's a tough shot to take.
The rare run out for Utah. Usually it's the dive out. This time
they didn't have to put all the energy in. Reminder, coming up after the end of this one, you've got lacrosse now every night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Get you all caught up on all the highlights going on around the country, and tonight we'll get you ready for a big Saturday slate and show you highlights, get some reaction from this one. A really good one in our CAA Game of the Week. Some Friday night lax in Fairfield, Connecticut.
2-man game coming behind. Fairfield is dropping the Pickers defender above goal line extended. Sort of like an off-ball linebacker, like a middle linebacker there. He's able to read and react. If his teammate can't get through this pick, then he's going to help. Now he goes to Stout.
Stout, feed in front to Perkins, off the pipe again. The pipe may be undefeated tonight.
Yeah, well, one got by
One got by it. It has been
Just
unbelievable.
One.
A big hit.
Huge.
Cahey loses it. Stout and Corsiniti again. Holy cow.
Wow, the only thing that's come up more clutch than the pipes has been the goalies. Corsiniti with a huge save. We said you can't defend a failed clear. Well, you can if your goalie makes a stop like that.
He's now up to 13 different saves. Donnelly's got 14 at the other end. These guys have seen a lot of rubber, and they've been standing tall.
I really like that heads-up look, though. On that original shot by Perkins, Stout feeding in there.
Here comes Corsiniti. He's got an assist, so all of a sudden he wants to play offense. And his team will give him time to get back in the cage. Under a minute 30 to go, 50 seconds left on the shot clock. So no matter what happens here is Fairfield takes a timeout. No matter what happens here, Utah, if they can just hold steady and get a stop, will get the ball back if they can make sure they don't give up a rebound.
Absolutely. There's time for 2 possessions here. Even if they let up a goal, we're going to see a face-off. Fairfield can't hold for one here. Curious to see what they dial up. I think it's going to be that weave offense.
Our CAA Game of the Week schedule continues next week. We've got a stellar one for you. Number 11, Denver at number 5, Towson. The Pioneers heading to Johnny Unitas Stadium, coming off a weekend off this week. Of course, that game against Ohio State that was supposed to be tomorrow was canceled because of some travel issues for the Pioneers. So Denver gets the weekend off as they look ahead to the Tigers, who have a big-time matchup tomorrow against Duke. Our coverage starts next Saturday, March 23rd, a noon Eastern start for Pios and Tigers here on Lax Sports Network, and you can watch for free on any of the free LSN apps. So let's reset here. Utah and Fairfield tied up at 9, a minute 21 left to go here in the fourth. This game has been back and forth. Utah was really good in that first half, took a 3-goal lead into the break. Fairfield was able to answer, and since Fairfield brought this thing back even, the two of them have been really just trading punches.
Yeah, they both seem to have an answer for each other. They're both getting goals in those, those niche areas of the game. Off the ride, extra man, they're really capitalizing on their opportunities. 6-on-6, both defenses have been really sound, really sliding and recovering well. Not leaving those open shooters on the inside or from right in front of the cage.
There's the guy who's been key for Fairfield tonight, number 22, Dylan Beck, with 4 goals and an assist, entered this game as the team's leading point scorer, and he is added to that team leading 29 points tonight.
Not exactly a shutoff for Beckwith there, but they're
making it difficult, yeah.
Yeah, which, if nothing else, chews up time. Now we got 30 on the shot clock.
So Matt Sharp, the midi, decides he's going to go with it himself, and he sends it behind.
And what that does is, I would imagine, throws a wrench in whatever Fairfield drew up.
Ford gets free, and it's off the pipe again. We have a late flag, and Fairfield is going to get a chance on extra man with 45 seconds left to go in this one. And there it is.
Yeah, that's a late hit.
Dan
Ford was
Tracy.
Ford got free off that pick for a sweep. 5-on-5 offense for Fairfield this time. Utah's known for it. Fairfield ran it. Really tough to slide to those pick games because you have fewer help defenders. He was able to get free, and that's just a tough late hit to take.
Tracy's a guy who knows a little something about the CAA, a transfer from UMass, played in 8 games of the last 2 seasons. And with the Utes going man down, Coach Holman and company want to talk things over. They take a timeout. So a minute extra man coming with 45 seconds. Fairfield's got a really good opportunity to win this thing. And even if they don't score here at the end of regulation, even 15 more seconds to carry this thing over into overtime. As you see Tracy come up high underneath the helmet there on Ford just after he missed that shot. What a game we've got here tonight, Joe.
This is a big one. This is as good as it gets. Back and forth. 3 minutes ago, we were sitting here saying how glad we are for the shot clock. Since then, we've had possessions on both sides, people pushing, going to the cage, going all out. There's no sense in putting your foot on the brakes. Everybody's just pedal to the metal the whole time.
Look, this is a big game confidence-wise for both these teams. For Fairfield, one of your last 3 games in non-conference play. It's been a bumpy road for them, sitting there at 3-3. They've had some games like that opener against St. Joe's where you kind of leave you scratching your heads. They've also had great games like they played against Bryan on Tuesday. This one a chance to continue to gain momentum as they enter a very difficult CAA conference. And for Utah, look, they know at the end of this they don't have a conference play to play in. So every game is like conference play. Every game is as big as it gets for this Utah program. And so we go down the stretch. Fairfield looking to finish this thing off with a man-up opportunity late in regulation. Beckwith, Stroud. Playing pitch and catch. Now 20 seconds to go in the fourth.
Interesting to see Stroud on that wrong side, so to speak.
Spinning, it's Brennan, and it's another stop from Donnelly.
He's made a ton of saves tonight, but that's got to be the biggest.
15 saves for the sophomore from Yorktown, New York. And we have free lacrosse and some Friday night lax in Fairfield. The 15th save of the night for Liam Donnelly secures the end of regulation for Utah as we are knotted up at 9 apiece. And 60 minutes, not enough to decide this one. We'll be back with overtime here on Lax Sports Network. Fairfield and Utah. We've got some more time left to play. Liam Donnelly step it up. Welcome back to our CAA Game of the Week. 60 minutes, not enough between Utah and Fairfield. We've got overtime between these two programs, tied at 9 as we enter the extra session. Travis Eldridge and Joe Keegan back with you for this one from Rafferty Stadium. The Stags had a great chance there at the end of regulation. On the extra man, they get a shot right in front from Jack Brennan, and Liam Donnelly has done what he's done all night.
Yeah, both goalies have been unbelievable. It was Corsinati with that huge save on Stout after the failed clear, and then Liam Donnelly. They've saved their best for last. They've both been piling up the saves all night, but they've been at their best in this fourth quarter.
By the way, a little history here is I believe this is the first overtime game in Utah program history.
There we go, making history. Looks like it's going to be Utah ball then.
Yeah, because with the extra man, Fairfield still has about 15 seconds on that man up that will carry over here into overtime. But Utah was holding on to the ball at the end of regulation. And that's huge if you're the Utes, because not only did you get the stop, but you avoid a faceoff, which, despite the fact they've made things interesting there, Fairfield has dominated that stat throughout the night.
Yeah, 17-5 at the faceoff X. It might not really be that when you factor in the possessions that Utah's won back and been able to turn into full field clears, but you'd rather have the ball than be facing off, for sure.
And so they're going to kill off this man up. We are back to even strength, and Utah will get the first opportunity to win this thing in overtime.
They're so diverse in their offense. Who do they go to initiate?
And a quick timeout for the Utes as they want to talk things over now that they've gotten the penalty wiped away.
Gantlin was a guy who had the ball in his stick at the time of that timeout. He's been able to create tonight. I like his dodging game, that Canadian style, always attacking the middle and improving your angle.
And he's shown the ability on those 2 goals that he's had so far tonight. He doesn't need a lot of room to get that shot off toward the top of the box.
Yeah, really snappy release. You watch those box lacrosse players play, a lot of their shot is wrist. It's not so much of that torque that you see from the field game, those time and Rube shooters. These are guys who are playing on a hockey rink during the summers up in Canada. They need to get that shot off as fast as possible, or else they're going to get dropped.
Let's take a look back at the end of regulation, because this is such a good chance here as Dylan Beckwith sets up Jack Brennan in front, and just able to slide over is Liam Donnelly, despite Brennan trying to go on the bounce shot.
Top down feeds, tough for the shooter to turn, find the cage. Also tough for the goalie to read where the shooter is going to go when you can't really see where he's releasing that from.
So Donnelly slides down to make the save. 16 saves, on the night. That last one, 16 saves for Liam Donnelly. He's just one shy of his career best that came against Furman when he stopped 17 shots. But as we talked about throughout that second half, Liam Donnelly